Can you tell us your name?
My name is Patrick Hughes.
All right, awesome. And I see here you got Stellar Horizons. Can you tell us what Stellar Horizons is?
Well, Stellar Horizons is a futuristic role-playing game set in the year 2057. It's basically a simple role-playing game, the standard dice and paper type that was started by Dungeons and Dragons and Traveller and various other systems back in the old days.
Yeah. Alrighty. How did you come up with the idea?
Well, the idea, it started a long time ago, and when I was a kid, I always liked watching shows like Battlestar Galactica, Star Blazers, all sorts of space adventure, Star Wars, of course. There were so many shows back then. I always wanted to tell my own story. I always come up with my own, invention or something of that sort. So that's kind of what led me down this path.
All right, that's cool. You tell us some of your influences for Stellar Horizons.
Well, the major influences, and if you know what to look for carefully, you can see them. I was influenced by all kinds of science fiction. Star Wars from 1977, the Star Blazers series, also known as Space Cruiser Yamato, Battle of the Planets, known as Gatchaman in Japan, and Buck Rogers and Battlestar Galactica. All those were, pre-1980. After that, I watched more, of course, the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, The Return of the Jedi. And then, of course, there was Aliens, the second one, because I was too young to see the first one. Then, of course, we had, Robotech in 1985. It was an incredible, just opened my eyes to the whole world of anime. And, from the late 80s on, I just jumped right into the world of anime. There was Crusher Joe, there was Mobile Suit Gundam, all kinds of things. I'm 40 in April. But then they came out with just all kinds of things, everything from District 9, to the modern stuff.
Yeah.
So, and of course Star Trek had its own little lesser influence as well.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, I see you got your stuff. How does it work?
It's a simple dice and paper role-playing game system, which means that every person gets to take on the role of a character. And they can even buy miniatures to represent their character on a game grid that, you draw the maps and let everybody see what's going on.
Yeah.
But it works basically by, you use percentage dice to generate character statistics. You can alter them. They buy skills, to reflect what their character can do. So if you want some bounty hunter or something like that, you can give them some sort of tracking and space travel ability and things like that. If you want a computer hacker, you can get those skills. You can also play different types of aliens, from the insect-like Hydrax to the Shikavri, which are these winged feral aliens, or even the psychic, Krylon Federation people, which look a lot like humans. They just have psychic powers. But to make it work, you create your characters. You use these 3 dice, the percentage and the 4-sided, and you go from there. And you have one person who sets up the adventures and comes up with them, while the other characters take the role of the individuals within the universe, and you just move on.
How long did it take to develop the system?
It took quite a while. I mean, my first versions were really crude. I came up with them when I was a freshman in high school back in 1987. And that's when, shortly after that, I ran into a friend of mine named Brandon Weber. And he'd played role-playing games longer than I had. And we bounced off ideas back and forth, and we came up with literally, half a dozen different systems to try to see what would work best. And eventually, by our senior year, we came up with something that actually worked really well, and it was totally unlike anything else on the market at the time.
What's the game setting like?
Well, the game setting, it's set in the near future, the year 2057. It's after the Earth has gone through 2 interstellar wars. The first war was the Contact War, where we had just started expanding into space, and we ended up being run across by some space aliens, that was their first contact with us. They had previously encountered another civilization they introduced us to, and then while we're in the process of building colonies and such, another group of aliens, ended up attacking the Earth and all our colonies. And then, of course, we threw them off and expanded the empire, or the realm where people live. And it's set in the post-war setting, after the Hydrax War. There's a whole lot of surplus starships laying around, a lot of people with a lot of training, and humanity's looking to expand among the stars. And there's various aliens and adventures and things like that to encounter.
Awesome. I see you have stuff out. What kind of products do you have?
Well, we have the basic set. The Stellar Horizons basic set comes across in 2 books. You have the Player's Book, which tells you how to create your character. It tells about the setting for the world, and it inside it has maps and adventures, ideas, and things like that. It has character sheets, so that way you can have your statistics for the character. And then you have the Director's Guide, which basically is what the director needs to run the adventure. He's the guy who comes up with the ideas. He is like a referee for everything. And he's the one, when he comes up with his idea, he sets up all the players around and everything like that. And he draws the maps while each player has their own characters on the board. And he kind of judges disputes, mediates encounters. Then, of course, we have pre-made adventures, such as this one right here, the Taiki Expedition, which takes place out on the frontier. It's, the characters are starting level and they're trying to help out, and they can build a reputation. They can encounter a new alien species. We have our free RPG Day adventure also, which takes place closer to Earth and is linked in the series of events. It's like a prequel to the adventure module we just described. And finally, we have our adventure packs, which basically has additional information for the characters, and they have customized character sheets, background information on the world. We also have a weapons guide for all the futuristic weapons called Kelly's Guide to Small Arms, and it talks about the various Earth weapons used by the Americans, the Europeans, and things like that. It goes back all the way to 1950 to 2057. So.
Alrighty. Where can I find it?
Well, right now you can find it in a number of places. You can find it on the internet at www.govalkyrie.com. You can find it at www.stellarhorizons.com. We're also on Facebook under Stellar Horizons. And you can also see us at a number of conventions in the area. We mainly hit the ones near Dallas-Fort Worth, like Project Acon coming up this May and June. We're also going to Texicon in Fort Worth. We're going to be going to GlitchCon in Little Rock, Arkansas, and several others.
Alrighty. Random question. Do you have a favorite? Does it have classes?
No, it really. It's not. It's more freeform than the old Dungeons and Dragons or Traveler style, where you're locked into one character type. You can make your characters pretty much do anything they want as long as you buy the proper skills. You can start out as a fighter pilot, from the Contact War, and who ends up wanting to study the alien races. So what does he do? He ends up buying biology skill and various other technical skills, and he can go out on adventures as the scientist. And if something comes up and the pilot is injured or incapacitated, then he can go in and take the role. So characters are freeform, and they often change during their career from their beginning level, what the player wants them to be, and then as experience changes them, they can go on and develop new skills and become something new.
What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite race?
Yeah, personally, yeah, I do. I'm really a big fan of humanity. I really do. Well, Chicago are very interesting, and they've got their feral nature, and they fly and things. You've got the rogue hydrax, which are these insectoid creatures who have pheromones and stuff to communicate with, and they're just alien, and they have organic tech. And of course, you've got the Krylons, which have their psionic abilities. I'm a big fan of mankind, because they don't have any special advantages to get them through everything. They have to think of things on their own, use their own skills and abilities. And to reflect that, we even have that on Facebook, the Stellar Horizons Future Historical Society, which tells humanity's efforts since the first encounters, or actually just before the first encounters with aliens. You can see a daily update of what happened on that day in history, all the way up to 2057, which is the current game universe.
Cool. Alrighty, one more question to wrap it up. You have any ideas or plans for video games or movies in the future?
Yes, actually, we'd like to. We're planning on, the first thing we're planning on doing is unveiling future products, an additional adventure module. We're going to then go on to some source material. We're going to release the vehicle guide rules for this, which is a tabletop video board game style of vehicle combat where you move fighters, mecha, and spaceships across the board, and it works perfectly with the character system. After that, we'd like to add more video and try to interact with people. Getting the rights to a video game would be awesome. But within the next year, we're going to be unveiling the novel, which it's about Stellar Horizons during the Contact War. It features the major 3 characters here on the cover are major protagonists of that story, and we're hoping to have it completed this year and published next year.
All right, awesome. Well, Patrick, thank you. That was awesome, and good luck. I hope your game is extremely successful.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to be a part of this.
All right.
Awesome.